Hey yo, welcome back to 10-5 Plays. It's your boy 10-5. It's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? And, I just had a lot going on. But I'm back because I wanted to talk about these games. So, the big three, Nintendo Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X. I got all three of these bad boys. And there's a game on all three that I've obviously played the most, between each platform. So, that's what I want to do these next three videos on. For each platform, I want to go over and give my thoughts on the game that I played the most, first party from each of them. So we're going to start here with Xbox Series X, and that game would be Starfield. Alright, currently, I'm sitting at 182 hours of total play time. So this is my most played game on the Xbox for 2023. And let's see why. Let's see what we think about Starfield, bruh. Now I'm gonna go through different categories and whatever and, judge the game, I guess. So let's see how this does. And we're gonna start off with... Yeah, the narrative in this game, it was mostly good, bro. Like, it had some things that I had some issues with, but I think the overarching story was interesting. I was really intrigued with what exactly the hell was going on, and by the game's end, I kind of feel like I still don't know. Like, there wasn't much as far as storytelling from the world you visit, so a lot has to do with, the main quests and whatnot. And aside from, one character, I know next to nothing about anyone in Constellation, and I actually don't really care about them. I forgot that little girl's name you saved from the planet, but she really led to nothing, man. I really wanted to find out the mystery behind these artifacts, the Starborn, but honestly, finding out these two Starborn were just people, and they're just losers you already met, and that was a bit of a letdown for me, because I didn't care about them before, and I definitely didn't care about them after. Not to mention, you still have no clue what the hell the artifacts are and, how they do what they do or who made them. Like, they're literally MacGuffins. Go look that up, which is insane because they're so central to everything going on. I felt like how I felt when I was watching Prometheus. It ended with the same questions it started with. I did really like how, the fate of the Earth came down to capitalism taking over after science made grand discoveries. Not much different from real life for real, but aside from that, there weren't really many twists or turns for me, and I didn't find the story all that interesting by its conclusion. And I still don't know how I feel about the post game, when you play as a Starborn. Like I get it, and it's pretty cool, unique thing, but I put a lot of work into my outposts and stuff, man. And to go around collecting all this just to know it won't even matter kind of sucks. And while it can be, grander, it can be a grander real world message about, life from a gameplay perspective, it's still annoying because then do I just keep running through getting artifacts and restarting 6 times and then I feel like I can build up my items and make a great base and whatnot? I don't know, man. But after some time, I did start, playing again after it, and while it's still like, I just don't see a point in getting resources now. I don't see a point in going through the base building if the whole thing is to keep going through the multiverse and getting stronger. So I figure, I'll go through a couple more times and then I'll just settle down and collect it, but then that also hurts the replayability. I don't know, man. That's a different part of this video. Let's get into the gameplay. The gameplay was actually super fun, which is why I have so many hours into the game. And a lot of it can feel repetitive, especially when you land on, 5 planets, and while it may look a bit different, they have like the same exact locations or facilities in them. But at least you feel like you're always, run into more when you explore. The abilities you get, they're hit and miss for me personally, but I think there's enough variety to give different options for different players, so I don't hold anything against them for that. Traversing planets can be a little tedious, like you don't need cars to make traveling on foot a bit better. It's just so slow sometimes, and when I was focused on collecting materials, it was fine, but with the post game, I just don't feel like it's worth for that anymore. Like, I don't feel like it's worth collecting materials like I used to anymore. So it just makes me feel like there's not much of a reason to visit a lot of these planets. You know what I mean? The shipbuilder is super cool, and I enjoy the space combat too. I love the planets with the low gravity because it's a nice break in the regular gameplay. Having a bunch of menus can be a bit frustrating sometimes, but it mostly works. It's just a bit cumbersome, but thankfully with the Series X, like, the loading's so fast, it doesn't bother me like that. You know what I mean? The gameplay loop is still fun. Controversial, but it kind of reminds me of like Gotham Knights, just executed better. Like you land and do some fights in the same place, just in a different location for loot and experience. And for me, I guess that's fun, but I can see how it won't be a lot of people's cup of tea, you know what I mean? Like, the shooting feels great, and I really like the weapons. I use a mix of the weapon types available to me, not just a gun or melee weapons, and I also started like implementing my powers into it. Usually the one where you slow down time, but I also hit that glitch bug where you use it and then it just slows everything down indefinitely until you like sit down in a chair, which at first made me, I was kind of pissed off, but after a while, once you learn, like, listen to me, if you ever get stuck in the game when you slow down time and you can't get out of the slowdown, just sit down in a chair and it sets everything back to normal. But it's kind of cool without it. Like, once you know how to end it when you have to, aside from trying to open doors and it taking several years to do so, it's actually kind of cool running through and taking dudes out in slow motion. Pause, for real, but you know what I mean? I did have a lot of fun though. It's a fun game, man. The visuals in this game really surprised me. Bethesda games like this aren't exactly known for like being gorgeous, but there were times when playing the game where I did stop and take in the beauty of what I was seeing. The stark difference between NPC models and the supporting cast models is insane though. Like, going to a big city, some people just look terrible, like on Dreamcast or something. And some of the environments can look a bit bland, but for the most part, the visuals were fine for me. Like, it wasn't anything mind-blowing, but they were good. So the game actually ran pretty smooth for me. Like, the 30 FPS was solid for me, even when I had a ton going on at the same time. There was still some bugs and glitches though, like just far less than I expected, but it was still annoying. Like, the game crashed constantly and it was like walking on eggshells sometimes because you knew the game's about to peace out. Like you knew when the game was no longer stable, and I hated that. But aside from that, it went pretty smooth, I'd say. But it could have been better. Like I said before, there is that glitch with like the slowing down the time, and where it could be fun, it's still a glitch. You know what I'm saying? The constant crashes though, it'll never not be annoying, man. I hate that, bro, for real. So this is a $70 AAA game, and I get it. But I don't think it brought more to the table than previous games by the developers. I got the hours out of it because I like the gameplay loop, but it is repetitive, and I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. But I can see if $70 is the new standard, okay, but if it's like, this experience is so next level and game changing, it deserves to be an outlier as far as, prices, I'd have to disagree. The thousands of planets to explore isn't much of a flex when you actually play. So if I'm paying the standard price for a standard game, in that aspect, I'd say it was worth the value, especially with the hours I put in, for real. The audio was good, man, nothing crazy. I'd say it was pretty standard. I love the soundtrack sometimes, but there wasn't really any moment where something, to do with the audio made me stop and appreciate it. I think the audio is pretty standard, which is great. It wasn't lacking, and long dialogue could be skipped pretty easily, which is a win in my book. The voice work was, pretty well done, and overall, I had a solid audio experience. I'd say the controls can range from good to bad. Like, your general gameplay exploring planets is fine, but the menu system, it does get annoying, fam. Like I said, it's cumbersome, and when it's required to do everything from takeoff to land to choosing abilities and weapons outside of your quick selection, it can be a lot. it didn't really damper a lot for me, you know, just a sigh when I was going from menu to menu, like, you know, and not seeing what I needed in that menu and going through another menu for the game to then crash. You know what I mean? But the shooting was super solid, the great draw distance, so I was taking out enemies from far away, and that was nice though. The ship builder controls were a bit of a pain in the ass, and sometimes I'd have to like exit because the controls and the camera just came to a standstill of ruining what I was trying to do. Flying the ship was fun too, even though outside of combat there wasn't much use for it at all, you know, which isn't a strike against the game. I would say realistically, traveling through space in the spaceship would kind of just be going through a whole lot of nothing, so I get it from a scientific standpoint, you know what I mean? I'd say if you don't like how many menus you have to go through for the general gameplay, you likely gonna be super annoyed at this. But I know I'm more patient than most people, so I was fine with it for the most part. I'd say this game desperately asked to be replayed. It's literally part of the plot. Like, now you have the option to not become a Starborn and just keep building yourself up, but then you miss out on, you know, if the new ship is more powerful and whatnot. Yet you become a Starborn and you lose everything you've collected and built, and that's a little annoying to me because I don't want to replay and collect to replay it and keep collecting and replaying and keep doing that cycle. It makes all the stuff you did and the things you were rewarded with seem a bit meaningless, but there's just so much to discover and see how you can. And as pissed off as I am with becoming a Starborn, it's still intriguing, and I'm gonna keep playing at some point. It's just, man, becoming a Starborn kind of sucked ass, and like, if I was really my character and became a real Starborn, I'd be like, well, this kind of sucks. Like, you weren't like all that powerful, bruh. Some random dude can still come in and clap you with a piece of shit SMG. You know what I mean? Like, you're nothing special, man. You were attacked by two Starborn with all their vast knowledge and powers, yet they got taken down by me, who was a slightly upgraded guy with a shotgun. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the result of finding all these artifacts and traveling through the multiverse, you might as well just stay at the house, my man. I gotta say, I was having a blast playing the game. I got married, I was taking down factions, you know, there wasn't many hard choices for me to make in the game, and it kind of seemed pretty clear who you should side with, but all in all, I had fun, man. There were definitely moments that let me down, like going to get powers in the temples and thinking it would be more than just walking to the structure and doing that little light thing. Like, the game was nowhere near as grand as I thought it would be, or as they were making it out to be, or it was just so grand that I haven't scratched the surface yet. Who knows, bruh? I just know I had fun, and I definitely recommend it to anyone with an Xbox. So yeah, that's what I thought about Starfield, bro. And it was definitely a good time. I recommend it, you know what I mean? But next up, we're gonna go to Sony, and we're gonna go through Spider-Man 2. Most played game on PlayStation 5, baby. So I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one, alright? Peace.